When you think of your favorite long-running horror movie franchises, what comes to mind? Halloween, Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, Saw, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play. Among these jugular-slashing juggernauts is one that may have flown under your radar, whether that be because many of this franchise's entries have gone straight to TV or video, or because its batting average is so staggeringly low it makes the Twilight Saga look like The Lord of the Rings.
I'm coming.
I don't want you to come.
That's right, kids. I'm talking about Children of the Corn, a decade-spanning horror movie franchise that all started with a modest little short story in Stephen King's 1978 short story collection, Night Shift. As Mr. Dryden from Lawrence of Arabia once said,
"Big things have small beginnings, sir."
And that's about the only time you'll hear Lawrence of Arabia mentioned within spitting distance of the Children of the Corn movies. But hey, even though the COTC series is hardly worth the celluloid it's printed on, it's still got a cornucopia of corntacular kills. Children of the Corn kill cam! So let's get lost in a field of gold as we take a look at the small beginning that started it all. Here, Constant Watchers, is Stephen King's corntastic tale, Children of the Corn. Avid Constant Watchers of the Stephen Kingdom may have noticed a pattern with the publication history of Stephen King's short stories. Before they end up in one of his many short story collections, they oftentimes make their first appearance in a magazine. And usually that magazine is of the men's entertainment variety. Children of the Corn is no different. Before ending up in Night Shift, it popped up in the March 1977 issue of Penthouse, which I have totally never read or heard of. Nope, not me. Mom, I need my privacy! Don't check under my mattress, gosh! The story follows married couple Bert and Vicky as they drive to California to visit Vicky's brother. To say they hate each other is an understatement. As they make their way through rural Nebraska, they're at each other's throats until they run over a young boy.
Bert, look out!
But it's okay because speaking of throats, he's already mysteriously got his throat slashed, so hey, Vicky and Bert are in the clear. And while the acrimonious married couple is checking out the dead kid, something in the corn catches Bert's eye. A gaudy splash of red amid all the green, as bright as barn paint. So Bert checks it out. Shade closed over him as he entered the corn. The red barn paint was blood. There was a low, somnolent buzz as flies lit, tasted, and buzzed off again, maybe to tell others. There was more blood on the leaves further in. Surely it couldn't have splattered this far. And then he was standing over the object he had seen from the road. He picked it up. The neatness of the rows was disturbed here. Several stalks were canted drunkenly. 2 of them had been broken clean off. The earth had been gouged. There was blood. The corn rustled. With a little shiver, he walked back to the road. Vicky was having hysterics, screaming unintelligible words at him, crying, laughing. Who would have thought it could end in such a melodramatic way? He looked at her and saw he wasn't having an identity crisis or a difficult life transition or any of those trendy things. He hated her. He gave her a hard slap across the face. Ah, to be young and in love. I should note that this is one of the major changes they made in the 1984 film adaptation. In the movie, Vicky, played by Linda Hamilton, appearing here just 6 months before her breakout role in James Cameron's The Terminator, and Bert, played by Peter Horton, are actually sweet and supportive of each other.
So, what'd you wish for?
To live happily ever after.
Apparently, when King himself took a crack at writing the first draft of the screenplay, their relationship was much more combative, hewing closer to the story. The filmmakers ended up throwing out his script in favor of a more upbeat movie about murderous, religiously fanatical children. In the story and in the movie, Vicky and Bert decide to report the dead boy and head into the nearest town, the small, isolated community of Gatlin. 2 characters trying to do the right moral thing in a horror story? I think they're gonna die. Children of the Corn kill cam. At first, Gatlin seems deserted until weird kids start coming out of the woodwork. Where oh where are all the adults? Vicky and Bert soon discover that the children of the corn have been sacrificing the adults to appease he who walks behind the rows, a malevolent being that lives in the local cornfields. It's like Neverland if the Lost Boys worshipped a demon. And Vicky and Bert find themselves in the very unfortunate position of being very much not children. So Vicky gets taken by the children of the corn, Bert gets stabbed by the children of the corn, then Bert hides in the corn and finds Vicky crucified in the corn.
Say corn again! Say corn again! I dare you! I double dare you, motherfucker!
And then that pesky he who walks behind the rows, he shows up and he makes Bert very much not alive anymore. That was when Bert heard it coming. Not the children, but something much larger, moving through the corn and towards the clearing. Not the children, no. The children wouldn't venture into the corn at night. This was the holy place, the place of he who walks behind the rows. Jerkily, Bert turned to flee. The row he had entered the clearing by was gone, closed up. All the rows had closed up. It was coming closer now, and he could hear it, pushing through the corn. He could hear it breathing. An ecstasy of superstitious terror seized him. It was coming. The corn on the far side of the clearing had suddenly darkened as if a gigantic shadow had blotted it out. Coming. He who walks behind the rows. It began to come into the clearing. Bert saw something huge, bulking up to the sky, something green with terrible red eyes the size of footballs, something that smelled like dried corn husks years in some dark barn. He began to scream, but he did not scream long. While the movies may be mostly trashy fun, the OG short story by Stephen King is pretty eerie. For one, kids are creepy. Just ask Danny Torrance.
Red.
For two, Stephen King does what he does best in Children of the Corn. He takes a common, everyday thing and gives it a spooky twist. And what's more common than corn? Corn's as American as apple pie.
Well, we'll just tell your mother that we ate it all.
Cornfields cover more than 90 million acres of the United States, which is the largest producer of corn in the world, making up over 30% of global production. In other words, there's a whole lot of corn for the likes of Vicky and Bert to get lost in. And I'd say that with all that corn, there's got to be at least one corn demon out there looking for some pissed off children to worship him. Children of the Corn, kill King. With all this land being gobbled up by corn, you'd think that's all we Americans would be eating. I mean, who doesn't like sinking their teeth into a big, buttery ear of corn and spending the next week digging that crap out of your teeth? And who doesn't like shoving fistfuls of buttery movie popcorn into your mouth and spending the next week digging that crap out of your teeth? Even if you don't like corn and digging all that crap out of your teeth, joke's on you, because corn is in everything. Only 1% of corn is grown for direct human consumption, while the other 99% is called field corn or dent corn. A portion of this dent corn is also used for human consumption. It's just a little more sneaky about it. You ever heard of high fructose corn syrup? Candy, soda, fruit juice, sauces, condiments, salad dressings, ice cream, cereal, cakes, chips, cookies, and pies all contain corn syrup. But this dent corn isn't just used to appease your sweet tooth, it's also used in paints, plastics, pharmaceuticals, and cosmetics. It's used to feed livestock, and it's used as the gasoline alternative ethanol. With this versatility of usage, it's no wonder corn is a nearly $100 billion industry. The problem is, this figure, like the children of the corn themselves, is deceptive. Farming is one of those wonderfully nostalgic things we like to associate with the summertime, baseball games, and cookouts. But corn agriculture, like the children of the corn themselves, has become twisted, a shadow of its former self. This is due to corn subsidies. Now, I won't get into the intricacies of corn subsidies because the only thing scarier than the children of the corn is the mind-numbing bureaucracy of corn subsidy programs.
Children of the Corn, kill King!
But suffice it to say, corn subsidies are paid by the taxpayer, and create market distortion, which leads to overproduction, which has detrimental environmental impacts. Proponents of corn subsidies, though, they argue that they support rural economies by stabilizing farmers' income. But then again, the agriculture industry spent more than $165 million in political lobbying in 2022 alone. And anytime an industry spends that much money in lobbying, well, it's probably not because the cause is wholesome and benevolent. You know what else isn't wholesome or benevolent? The children of the f***ing corn! If you like what we're doing over here at the Stephen Kingdom and would like to show us a little monetary love, our Patreon has all sorts of exclusive goodies for our supporters, including extended and deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes featurettes, early access to episodes, and your name in the end credits. Be sure to subscribe to the Stephen Kingdom channel here, and check out our past short story episodes here. Long days and pleasant nights, constant watchers.